Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for immediate release of this minister in the Temple of God.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank. POS operator, she said 3,000 is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the taunting. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
human trafficking.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for immediate release of this minister in the Temple of God.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank. POS operator, she said 3,000 is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge.
Welcome back. It's still Open Conversations on Atlantic Television Network, and Vivian joins us this morning. Together we will be looking at the issues on our platter. Yes, it's a platter of conversations this morning. And straight away, the immediate past Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, Clem Agba, submitted his expression of interest and nominations form at the party secretariat in Abuja, signifying his intention to run for the office of governor of Edo State. Addressing journalists on Wednesday after meeting with members of the party's National Working Committee, Agba said, "As a leader, let me quickly say, if you don't check on your people and inspect what they have been mandated to do, you will be disappointed. What I am bringing to Edo is the trust factor. After all, Edo is the heartbeat of Nigeria and requires someone with capacity who has worked at the national and subnational level and can fulfill the mandate of the people. Notably, aspirants have continued to..." Okay, so we will stop there first off. Or let me just run it through.
Yes,
Notably,
please.
aspirants have continued to defy the resolution of the committee set up at the instance of former Governor Adams Oshiomhole and Professor Julius Ihombere, which earlier pruned the list of contestants from 10 to 6 to 4, and in some other reports it says even came down to 2. Interesting. We are also aware that the party's national secretary has come out to say that that committee, their job was not to prune down.
yeah.
They were to serve as an advisory body.
Yep.
So first of all, I'm even wondering, advice what exactly? In what direction?
Well, it's in an attempt to use register or words or, if you may, political language to try to subtly manage a messed up situation within the APC in Edo State. I think that's just, I mean, what are you advising? What is the council supposed to be doing, if you may? The thing is, I don't know what is going on with the APC nationally, and even though Ganduje comes across as a big boy, I'm doing this and all of that, I'm here, we're going to win 2027, we're going to do all of that. You know, it's like with street language, what they call big talk. No tangible, too much activity with no achievement, if you may. So if you look at the crisis that is erupting in the state APC right now, it clearly tells you that all is not well at home. If that is the case, there is no proper coordination between the APC national and the state level. We thought it was just a PDP theme, but it's among these parties is beginning to reflect as the day goes by. Now, Abba suddenly picks up his, remember the first instance, his name wasn't there. When the first screening was done, his name wasn't there. Isayam wasn't there. And of course, Isayam have also come out to take his own position.
Are they up to 25 aspirants now for the APC?
I think they were about 40-something. They now came down when they did their ward and the region, local government stuff, and then they now prone down to about 26 or 27, thereabout. And then when they did this ultimate screening,
he now came up to pick up the form.
No. After the screening, they now got about 6.
Yes, they came down to 6. They came down to 4. There's a new
2.
report that says 2.
So today too, and he's not there. Yamu is not there. So I don't know what is going on, but I can bet you that in the days to come, revelations, there will be more unraveling. But the good thing is that Clem Agba has made a big boy's move. Walk your talk. He's picked up the form. He's submitted. But what I find interesting in his statement to the press is the point where he said, he's bringing the trust factor, and I'm like, hello, what are you talking about?
He precedes that trust factor with something I find even more curious. He says, when you do not pay attention to your people, let me paraphrase. It sounds like when you do not pay attention to your people, the people who you have given an assignment to, they will mess it up. And I'm wondering, who is he pointing fingers at? Is it the incumbent, now outgoing governor? Is it the leader of the party? Who?
Anyway, I think at this point, Abba wants to let the people know, he wants to establish a ground, telling them what his capacity, what he can do if he's been elected into that office. Because he said that their place is the center of Nigeria. Okay, so
the heartbeat,
exactly, that is the heartbeat of Nigeria. Now, him telling them is assuring that all of them, the voters, those who are going to participate, is assuring them of his own capacity that is going to, fix up the state. So what are we going to say about that?
Like I said, my aim when he said he's bringing the trust factor, again, a politician, trust factor. I'm looking at the last time he made a major news headline was during the COVID-19 when it came to the UPTH and raised alarm how the medical director was privately, basically pocketed COVID-19 fund. He was also used to set up labs. He raised uproar. He made threats. Nothing came out of that. The man went for another election and he was reelected as chief medical director for University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. But you see, so when you say you're bringing in the trust factor again as an individual, what is his essence in those states? What are
the key performance indicators?
Exactly.
And it's akin to, a few days ago, I think we were talking about one other aspirant who said he was coming to do something. I'm trying to remember what exactly he said. And we're asking, okay, you have said this. What are the particular reforms you are bringing? Was this yesterday? We asked that question. What are the particular things you want to do?
When you tell us
trust
factor is I think it's vague.
Yeah.
It's vague. So he need to make a specified statement on that.
I expected Clem Agba to be more astute in his statement. This is
what I want to do.
Me. This is why you need to root for me. This is why those states need this. In 3 or 4, 5 maximum sentences, you should be in position to state clearly who Clem Agba is, why you are outstanding. It's not about you having a lineage with the traditional stew. It shouldn't be about you being a one-time minister, because what did that translate to Edo people? And if they don't know all of that about you, why should you be the one to be the governor? Why should they see you as one capable to be the governor of Edo State? And also this idea of picking this expression of interest form and nomination form, and the filling and returning same, and all of these drama that comes with it. So right now, knowing that there's been a plan or processes that had already birthed 2 candidates of choice, knowing that you are not amongst these candidates, spending money to buy this form right now, is it to ensure, oh, if I don't get in there, there have to be a compensatory factor for me, when maybe the person should, if the APC should win election? Why do you have politicians? Because clearly you're not even among the first 2, if we are to, from all that we have seen in Edo State. So what is this interest in pushing and pushing and pushing for it? This, I think the APC expression of interest form should be about, is it?
It's about 40
million.
Yes,
Yeah, 40 million. You cough out that. You put into something you're not the first top 2, 3 candidate, if you may. And I don't know.
When you say top 2, is that based on that committee's selection?
You know these politicians, they have a way of making you
know that you are not one of the favored.
Yeah, while we're growing up, this willy kind of thing, you think you're seeing a spirit form, and then it's not a spirit form, and all of that. It's a charade, taken too far sometimes, because they will come out to tell you, oh, something happened. I mean, Obaseki was in a meeting with Wike yesterday. Who could have believed that? So, I mean, it's politicians. You think what they are telling you is actually what it is. But at the end of the day, don't be surprised that those candidates will surface as the choice candidates.
Exactly. We will wait and watch and see if this house of cards will come crumbling down. That's talking about the APC and their inflated number of aspirants. Really, we go on to the Labour Party.
So the Edo State chapter of the Labour Party has responded to complaints from its aspirants in the forthcoming gubernatorial elections with regards to its expression of interest and nomination forms, which cost 30 million naira. While speaking at the press conference in Benin City, the state chairman of the party, Kelly Ogbaloy, stated that theirs is the lowest price among the 3 major political parties, and therefore should be affordable for any serious aspirant wishing to contest the governorship election on its platform. Well, Ogbaloy explained further that political party funding is a challenge. The sale of funds is a major source through which political parties are funded. He said aside from being qualified to contest an election, an aspirant must also be ready to show capability and capacity to fund campaigns and other election requirements. A lot of issues that may arise as a result of primaries and the election itself, which has to do with litigation arising from such activities as well as other logistics issues, make it imperative for the parties to charge a reasonable fee like ours so that it can adequately discharge its responsibilities during and after the elections. He further said, therefore, any aspirant who cannot afford the fee lacks the capacity to run for the governorship election. Well, disclosing that 2 aspirants, male and female, have so far bought the party forms, he appealed to the governorship aspirant of the party to make the necessary sacrifice by participating in the exercise, assuring that the party is determined to ensure a level playing field for all aspirants, leading to the emergence of a credible candidate. Okay, you remember when this announcement was made, one of the candidates who said he came in from the abroad to come for the governorship election said, oh, that this is so wrong if you do A, B, C, D, and to Z and all of that later on. They said they are going to, they're like a collision of would-be aspirants, if you may.
That thing is, it always cracks me up. We are all competing for the same position. Then the umpire says, for you to qualify to compete, you have to cough out 30 million naira each. Then we form a union. of aggrieved
collision of aggrieved would be aspirants
exactly.
who are not happy with the umpire's fee. How does it work?
Now,
I mean, they would. Okay.
That means if you have what it takes to rule, you have the capacity, you have the ability, you have the charisma to rule, and you are unable to cover such amount of money. That means you are definitely disqualified. You cannot have
Mr. Chairman has told you point blank, if you don't have 30 million, you are
that means you are not
serious.
Qualified.
You are not serious, is the word. It's not you are not qualified. You are not serious.
You're not serious.
And I think off the top of my head, I can probably guess who the male who has paid for this and the female who has paid for this. But,
yep.
But that's an aside. Furthermore, in that statement, he now begins to appeal to the aspirants to come forward and pay for their nomination forms. What if it didn't they?
Now, here is another thing.
Right.
At the general election, their forms were sold for 15 million. People planned based on that.
Exactly.
And then you come
That's in 2023.
That's in 2023. It's still governorship election. It's just about a year apart.
In his response, he said, prices of everything has changed.
Excuse me.
This is 2024.
I totally agree.
Right.
But
and
let's
now
talk about
from 15 to 30 million naira. That's a very huge gap.
How much was the price of a liter of petrol?
Hold on. Let's not do basic economics for this.
There you go. But it is what it is. But that's what the chairman said. See, these were his reasons put forward.
Yeah, I agree.
Inflation has happened to the paper as well.
I agree. However, the margin between 1 year, you're doubling. You didn't just upgrade from 15 million to about 20 million. You doubled what it was. Now, that could come across as a conscious sign that Labour Party is not an all-comers affair. Remember, they threw it open. A lot of them came in through the party, got elected into office, and got into the National Assembly, for instance, and began to act like the
party didn't matter.
The party didn't matter.
Right.
The old established politicians who are just me, myself, and I. However, if you're saying that you put up the stake to ensure that the serious-minded persons who understand what politics is about to come in and take the party seriously and understand that you're abiding by whatever the party principles or protocols may be, that's okay. But for a party called Labour Party to say you're depending on the funding of your party, I think something needs to drastically change about political parties, formations, and ideology and internal structures in this country.
Fantastic. Brings me to...
I cannot, for the life of me, understand how in 2024, you're talking about how many people are buying this form. Let's even say you want to... Exactly. Let's even say you have... we did a bit of a sum of this some time ago. You have about 30 persons. I understand you need money in politics. That's understandably. But if this is about raising money, why don't you put it there? Get 5 million from about 300 persons, for instance. You will get more. You will get more than you bargained for the number of maybe 15 or 10 of them.
300 people in the Labour Party?
No, I'm just putting it out there. Like if this is what it's about, but that is not what it's about. When you should be talking about quality representation, quality individuals, you're not using money as a yardstick to determine who becomes. So what is the difference between you and the PDP and the APC and their likes? What is the difference? Because it's money politics at the end of the day. So it has nothing to do with what makes you a political party that a lot of people reckon with in 2023. You are just like every other political party, in my opinion. And then the authoritative, the very the disregard tone of the state dismissal, if you may. 30 million is expression of interest for me is affordable.
The fact is, 30 million is the cheapest of the three major political parties.
No, it's not cheap. 30 million is not cheap. If you want to think about that,
he has not said it's the cheapest. He said it's the cheapest amongst
if cheap is the word, you understand, then with something must be wrong with us. You can use the word lowest, but if he's saying the cheapest, 30 million as a figure is not cheap, as bad as our economy is. But the concern I have again,
trying in comparison with other parties.
So let's agree there's no difference between them and the other parties.
Okay, we also.
I mean, if that is the yardstick they want to measure it, there's no difference between them and the other parties.
I think really what the fundamental issue here is party funding. We look at the People's Democratic Party and the hard corner they are in with regards to their major financier.
Exactly.
Now the APC is clearly appears to be towing a different line. The chairman has come out to say politics is about money. If you don't have money, like they will say on the street, come out body. Their forms are 40 million. I think with 5 million as expression of interest, it comes to around 45 million. And we cannot count the number of people who have picked up forms. So it tells you, whether we like it or not, the office is attractive enough for people to be willing to dole out such humongous sums, knowing that if there are 40 of them, 39 will lose. And of the 39 that will lose, maybe 30 will go to litigation. We'll go to the tribunal. We'll go to litigation. If they go to the High Court, go to the Appeal Court, go to the Supreme Court. Do you understand something?
Sorry. You're listening to you, Kingsley. A question just popped in my head. Is there any industry bigger than the political industry or market in this country?
Since we cannot, we should be exporting politicians like we export crude.
Honestly, if you look at this, scenario,
we want to look at.
If you look at this particular situation right now, Labour Party is positioning itself to be whatever words win. APC and PDP is the example for us. We are following them. What they do is what we do. How exactly are you talking about the development of this country if your interest is, okay, pay for the form, let it be that amount, and then if you cannot pay for it, the rest goes. Now, Labour Party, people are agitating over that. They formed the coalition they are going to be meeting. The same thing, there are issues in the PAPC, Edo State, there are issues in the PDP, Edo State. At the end of the day, I ask everyone again, can't we just begin to look at, probably consider, having a roundtable conversation on what political party should be in Nigeria? Because the process of selection, again, have shown us that we cannot get the best in terms of intellectual acumen, in terms of experience that would count for something in terms of developing the state or the country at large.
Or should we just do like Jacob Zuma and form another party?
Without resigning from the party that you find yourself.
That haven't been dealt with. We also have other development stories. The chieftain of All Progressive Congress, Dr. Vincent Obioha, has cautioned the party's stakeholders in Edo State against the purported pruning of the party's governorship aspirants and the forthcoming election in the state. In a later address to Comrade Adams Oshomole, the leader of the party in the state, Obioha, while expressed his dismay at the reported pruning, and argued that as an opposition party in Edo State, the APC should aim for a strong and well-grounded candidate with political and electoral experience, rather than choosing a provincial candidate out of parochial and primordial sentiment would be completely counterproductive. He maintained that APC's failure in the Edo 2024 election will nonetheless ascertain the party's incapacity to ever reclaim the state. Now, upon examining the 6 aspirants presented to you by the so-called committee, it was difficult for me to envision any of them going head-to-head with Governor Godwin Obaseki's rumored favored candidate. He added, moreover, the process that precedes the emergence of a candidate must be perceived as fair by other aspirants and the general public in order to foster cooperation within the party and to earn the trust of the voting population. In search of the right candidate for the party, it is imperative that you look beyond your personal stake and consider the collective interests of the party and that of the Edo people. Let's take it from there. So, what do you have to say about it? Okay, now let's finish the stories. Like the APC needs to feed a popular and credible candidate with the holistic capital to win. Edo people are in their need of a governor who can substantially develop the state, thereby adding significant value to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 2027 re-election bid, he added. Now you have listened to the stories.
Oh,
what do you have
word.
to say? What do you have to say on this?
My word, oh my word. So you're basically cautioning them about pruning candidates because you want to ensure that you protect President Tinubu's 2027 bid.
And to be able to do that, you have to have a candidate who can counter the incumbent governor's rumored preferred candidate, who himself is not sure yet, but that's fine.
Literally
but
not
that's
sure.
fine. But that's fine.
Literally.
You
At
have,
all, he's unsure of it.
Now this is in disregard of what the people even want. So from this statement, I find that his concerns do not even center around what the state needs
At all.
and what the people of the state needs.
Not a chance.
It's about reclaiming Edo State to be an APC state and ensuring that 2027 is 4 plus 4 equals to 8.
Kisley, do you know how sickening some of these statements are? Is it becoming a bit clearer to us why we've elected governors? I mean, take it back to Rivers State. We elected governors, supposedly, and nothing is going on in terms of development. Because we are busy talking about how to settle our political godfathers.
Plus cut injunctions.
And not the interests of the
political
masses.
party stakeholders, giving contract to people who will not end up delivering on this contract. I remember when Simlai Fubara came into power, he went to the secretariat and they were talking about that a particular contract for water or light or something was given to someone, the person didn't do it. He had to re-award the contract. There is another project he went to at the same time, and then the contractor I learned was fully paid and didn't deliver. He had to award. And I kept asking myself, why are you re-awarding this contract? Name the people who were giving this. And someone said, no, they are political party cronies, and then they cannot, name them.
If he names and shames and drags them with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, will that not compound the woes he's currently in? Considering the fact that it's his predecessor, his godfather, who had awarded this contract.
So can we looking back at the stakeholder statement in Edo State right now, as per what the kind of candidate they should look out for? We need to bring a candidate who is going to beat Asue Igadolo, and then to ensure that the person has the capacity after beating Igadolo, but the person should have the capacity to ensure Tinubu wins, not even to govern.
Yeah, sorry, I take it back.
Yeah, to say that Tinubu wins 2027 election. And we are still talking about our economic woes. You're not talking about Asue Igadolo, a financial expert, for instance, from his banking experience, to have another candidate who would come in and ensure that people can say, okay, if the PDP have a financial expert as a candidate, we also have one, and this is a superior one, because he is rooted in this. We are just every day, this is 2024, somebody just sits down and opens his mouth and says this to people. So we are just every day like retrogressing. Listen to we're going to talk about Nikki Haley and
Donald Trump,
Ron DeSantis and all of these guys later. Listen to conversations, listen to political conversations. These people use AI modified devices. These people use the best of hotels. These people are in tune with. They go to their homes. Some of their homes are smart homes. You're not think. Yet you buy these things, import them abroad. You're not thinking of candidates who will stand their grounds, like the William Rutos of this world, who will go to international summit and stand his ground and speak as a young African who knows his left from his right. We are just busy trying to recycle people who would help. How old is Tinubu? He's 76. He's why are you polite? He's 76, 70, 78, 77 this year. Right? Right? 70. 77.
You're trying to calculate how old you will be in 2027.
I want to do abacus. 77 this year, 78 2025, 78.
You'll be 18 2027.
Why were you so
79,
fast?
80.
Why are you so fast?
You'll be 18
so,
2027.
And I want it to sink in. That's why I'm doing the abacus in my hand like this. So you're an 80-year-old man who is not even conscious of a lot of the basics that are coming up every day that helps us compete with our peers around the world. You're not talking about bringing someone vibrant. You just want to make sure he remains in power just because it satisfies your own personal interest. I don't think they're ready to develop this country,
If we even look at the
guys.
Edo State conversation and what their chieftain is saying, advising them to not prune down, but rather look for a candidate that can counter Aswe Ighodalo's strengths. The question is Aswe Ighodalo even sure of winning the PDP ticket? You said something in passing much earlier on, and I chuckled. I don't want to touch. Should I?
Go ahead.
Okay. So there are reports that the incumbent governor, Gordon Obaseki, actually did have incumbent.
Okay.
He's the one who's there.
Yeah.
Actually had a meeting with the FCT minister, who is his longtime ally, but you know things didn't go down so well. In the company of the Adamawa State Governor, Fintiri, to seek forgiveness for his errors that led to their poor friendship status, you know, and also seek support for his preferred candidate, Aswe Ighodalo. Well, the reports have it that meeting didn't go especially very well, and the FC minister quite clearly told them what you're asking for because you have been given support before and you reneged on agreements. You know,
what
so
it is.
The good part is the FC minister goes on to say that, in that report goes on to say that I would advise that you give everybody level playing field to contest and the best man should emerge. I like the FCT minister for one thing. He's a stickler for agreements. If you renege on the agreement, he's coming.
You bet.
But then you look at that situation and you're wondering, who? If you look at what's happening in the APC, I look at what's happening with the PDP, somehow it appears that the Labour might just have free run.
Are you sure?
The primaries, it may be more. It may be more. Right now, so far, we know that...
on that thread?
Yeah, right now, so far, we know it's the Labour Party aspirants versus the Labour Party. So it's not as though there are factions amongst themselves, the aspirants, as it were. The aspirants are together asking for the 30 million to be reduced. You know, so, I mean, it's a don't stay there for the taking.
To the biggest bidder. Well, I just want to say that while we hope that Edo states, whether APC, PDP, SDP, why are we not even talking about SDP in Edo State?
ADP has just announced, even ADP have just announced their primaries, although they did not announce the figures for the forms.
Okay. So, for what is what, we wish Edo people would be very best and hope that we can all come out of this unscarred. But again, who can really tell? All right.
We go straight into Ebonyi State, where the governor, Francis Nwifuru, has issued a rallying cry to party faithful to ensure that ballot papers are counted at the polling units and results declared thereon before moving to the collection center. Giving the charge during the campaign grand finale for the forthcoming by-elections, Nwifuru said, "Do not give space to anybody. It has gotten to the point of no return. Do not give space to anybody." That fateful Saturday, from the local government area, start showing capacity. Do not allow anybody to intimidate you. You are the one that is supposed to intimidate them. He said, and I quote, "This time around, we are no more playing. We are playing politics. It is now pure politics from tomorrow. My language is changing till after Saturday. I will become the father of all. If Professor Anthony fails, will you be happy to be in the party? That's the contestant, by the way. He says, I should inform and encourage you that our enemies are not sleeping. They are doing everything within their reach to technically outsmart us. Go and tell them that we are more than the birds. We are waiting for them. We are ever prepared. Number one thing to you, all our agents, every machine that comes to your polling units, open them, check them, see the number. Once they finish the voting, they should count the ballot papers there and write the results in your presence in favor of your party. That is the only language I want to hear. Do not give them space. Do not give anybody space. And do not be a gentleman at that moment of election. Take charge. Show strength. Show capacity. Instead of you not to win your polling booth, if you are a real politician, do everything within your reach to make sure you win your polling booth. If we put some of those things he said in regular parlance,
no grief
for anybody.
That's what he's trying to say.
And he goes to say, no sleep, wake up.
He said, do everything within your power. I want to say that I think we are at the point where we need to officially request for immunities to be taken away from state governors.
Yeah, because I think he's speaking in absolute terms. Do everything within your power to make sure that you win.
You cannot
But is it now encouraging violence?
You cannot sit as an executive governor of a state and then you speak like this. We should have just asked them to go to war. You've just asked the boys with the arms, pull out your machetes, pull out your guns, pull out your every ammunition, every arsenal within your reach. Do whatever it takes. Professor Anthony must win.
Make sure that you do everything to favor your party.
Yeah, well,
not just free and fair election. Because
for a governor that is supposed, for it to be a governor for the whole of Ebony State,
exactly.
I think we need to call for immunities to be taken from governors, because this is an extreme. When the blood drops, it wouldn't be the blood of him or his household or his children. It will be the blood of innocent persons who have no hand in giving this order. This is one of the very reckless statements that shouldn't come out of the mouth of a sitting governor, especially in a democracy, even in military. Even if it's a military officer, this is a level of recklessness that sends the soldiers to go on rampage and do whatever they like.
Say, shoot.
How do you
strike?
That he didn't say shoot and strike.
No, like a soldier would
say.
Yeah. Like a soldier would say.
This is
strike. You know, because that is exactly what he just meant.
Exactly.
That's what he said. He said.
So how do you make such absolute authoritative? All out statements.
Instigating violence.
Go and do whatever. I think if he didn't have immunity, he wouldn't do this.
Exactly.
He will be careful. Some of them will be careful with their actions. I'm sorry to say that I'm just disappointed that a young man who got into office, where a lot of young Ebony youths are expecting that there should be a new dawn. You are now consciously putting yourself against innocent people of Ebony State. We know how volatile this state was during the tail end of David Umahi's tenure. We saw the attacks. We saw the very uncharitable nature of that state at the point. People cried out and wondered, how did we get to this point? So if he doesn't have immunity, these are statements that the civilian makes and you'll be picked up. But look at a man who controls millions of people, who is the #1 citizen of a state. Just because you want your candidates to win a constituency election into a national office, I guess so, you decide to say, shut down Ebony State. Basically, take whatever is in front of you that will be a problem, shut it off. Just make sure you win the election. At the end of the day, when the boys with the arms, you have just told them, go to... You remember what happened in Rivers State now? When Governor Wike did similar thing. The boys went on rampage. Atlantic Television Network, Morrison Communication was a major attack. They did it, yeah. They bombed this station with people inside. We could have lost our colleagues. Our generator was shut down. The window, everything was attacked. Homes and all of that, because the governor was speaking carelessly. He didn't have to say, you guys go and carry out this. But because the governor has spoken, he's the paymaster, he has given a matching order. So don't be surprised if you begin to see violence from that state.
Let's look at something else. If you follow the story, you discover that this is not Nwifuru's normal manner of speaking. You know, somewhere along the line he said, I am not going to be a gentleman.
Yeah.
I will return to being a gentleman after Saturday.
Really?
Yes. Now, don't forget that a few days ago, Minister of Works, former governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, was in Ebonyi State and issued a rallying cry. You remember? Right. Still talking about 2027 and ensuring that Ebonyi State remains an APC state and ensuring that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's mandate continues. So I'm wondering, is that the fuel to this fire? Is that what has prompted? Did that meeting create this, you know? Could the governor have communicated his intentions in much more polished words? You know, because, I mean, everybody who goes out to an election intends to win one. But could he have said this? Could he have said this in much more calmer tones? You know, could he have been a Martin Luther King instead of what's the word now? An anarchy starter, as it were? Because like you've said, and rightly so, when declarations like these are made, it tells everybody it's a free-for-all fight, like Fela would say, it's rough fight, you know, and innocents will lose their lives, will lose their businesses, will be maimed, will be injured.
And none of these ills will affect him.
Of course.
And like I go back to when we were attacked in this town, nothing affected Governor Nyesom Wike. His home was not bombed, but another man's business that is providing services for the people of Rivers State, giving jobs to people that he didn't give jobs to. I beg your pardon, because that's what it is. Set up a business in such a critical time in this country, ensure that people have a career going on, ensure that salaries are paid. You attacked this business with your words. Your voice went to action, and we saw the outcome of that. No apology from anywhere. I don't even know what the police did with that case till today. So that's my primary concern. When people in authority open their mouths and utter words that is going to bring about destruction, conflict entrepreneurs are going to hijack this process. And then you're going to say, I didn't tell this person to, but your word said they should go ahead. You have authorized anarchy in Ebonyi State just for constituency elections. So what happens when the 2027 comes? Very uncharitable. I think that he needs to find a way to retrace these words. Like you said, he can actually come out and make a proper speech, encourage the people. We must ensure we win election for Professor Anthony, because it is important to win this election. It's important we consolidate our base as a political party. However, no violence. However, ensure that nobody is harmed in the process. I'm going to be on ground. I'm going to move around with the authorities to ensure that everybody... Exactly.
Will be available.
People feel safe.
We should print your posters for governor.
Get serious. People feel safe, and when people feel safe, they want to be, when people feel safe and you give them a sense of acceptance, they want to be part of the process and play their role. You better believe that people with families in Ebonyi State are going to call their people, please stay
indoors.
Stay indoors, because
and
amidst all these insecurity issues, you know, in Nigeria, now someone is coming to make such an absolute statement, inciting fight and violence.
And the last time I checked, there Governor Nwifuru's Francis, this is still a democracy. We're not in a military regime, but we'll take a quick break, everyone. When we come back, we'll have some interesting conversation, because APC National Working Committee have countered the South State Working Committee's suspension of the chairman in Benue State. I don't know what this whole thing is going to amount to between the PDP and the APC, because there is another conversation on that, but all of that will be after the break. Stay with us.
How high the obstacles, we
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of Justice.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank. The POS operator, she said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the Tonte. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
On the point of order.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Representing people. Mr. President, my people are under siege.
I will place economic stability and confidence.
To condemn this act and call for the immediate release of this minister in the Temple of Justice.
Give us access to our money we put in the bank. The POS operator, she said 3,000 naira is 1,000 to collect 3,000 naira. Where are we heading to?
I've always said there are two sets of people on earth, the oppressors and the oppressed. And in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians need now is not about the Tonte. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
Welcome back. It's still Open Conversations on Atlantic Television Network, and straight away we jump into some other issues. The national leadership of the All Progressives Congress has set aside the suspension of the party's chairman in Benue State, Mr. Augustine Agada, by party executives in his Ehaje ward, owing to alleged anti-party activities during the last general elections. Felix Morka, the National Publicity Secretary of the APC, in a statement noted that the said suspension and all related actions in the matter be set aside pending further review and decision of the party's National Working Committee on the matter. Therefore, Mr. Augustine Agada remains a bona fide member and the chairman of the Benue State chapter of our party. End of story. Whether you like it or not.
Finito.
You know, we were talking off air about this, and a few weeks ago, I think sometime in December, we had something similar play out in Ondo State with the PDP, and the State Working Committee suspended the chairman, and the National Working Committee says, hold up, he still remains the chairman. You do not, they actually said in that instance, you do not have such powers as to suspend him without recourse to the National Working Committee. And I remember that we had the founding secretary of the PDP Youth Wing in studio here, and he said, well, according to the party constitution, no state chapter can take such decisions without first reaching out to the National Working Committee or the National Executive, who will now give approval after their investigation. And I remember the discussion was, does the PDP have a National Executive? Is a caretaker committee that is there right now, is it not? An acting chairman, is it not? Why? Because there's some litigation going on. But we bring it back here, and the APC in Benue State are at APC everywhere you go. At it again. Suspension due to anti-party activities during the last general elections. The National Working Committee says maintain status quo.
Yeah, but you see, my concern with again, we started off by talking about political parties and their structures and how much of these seem to be affecting the development of Nigeria. Because if the process of selection and the internal structures of structural components of a political party is neither here nor there, that anybody can wake up and speak in discordant tone. Because just like in the Ondo states, Veritai is speaking from one side, Fatai Adams is no longer our chairman. PDP, and since then I said Ologunagba and Kosim not to, but I think I read a similar story on that recently, saying that that he's still going to be recognized as Adams, still going to be recognized as the chairman from the National Working Committee of the PDP. Again, here is the APC, doing the same thing. You suspend, a petition was written by one Onje, and then because of that, the party at the state level suspends the chairman, and now you ask, when was investigation carried out? Just like in Peretai's case, in the Adam Fatai's case, in those states, you need to carry out investigation before you appoint a new person. Now, Benue State is at it again, and this is the ruling party in Ebonyi, in the Benue State. I don't know what is going on, but again, I honestly think we need to go back to the drawing table and begin to have proper conversations on some of these issues that has to do with party politics. Because if this is the process that leads to selection of those who become our leader, if they cannot get it right at party level, if their party constitution, for instance, cannot be respected by National Working Committee or the State Working Committee, if this is what it is for the leading parties, then something is wrong. And it just tells us why we struggle with those who emerge from these parties as leaders of thought or political leaders that will take charge of governance. Because at the end of the day, they know that when they emerge, every other person can be dropped to the floor and they'll become the real thing. And everybody will keep bowing to them because they want to get some contracts and all of that. So there is no independence of thoughts that could actually make things work. And we keep running around in circle with all of this. I honestly don't see how we can make anything out of it. But political party structures or ideologies, we really need to bring this to the drawing table. They're having a constitutional review. Maybe they can help us to look at this and, do something about it.
Okay, before that constitutional review, whenever there is a problem or you suspend something like a chairman, you need to carry out a thorough investigation. If there is no thorough investigation, then what are you doing? That is the question. So there should be proper investigation.
Let's quickly run to the United States elections.
Absolutely.
The U.S. elections, it's kicking off, and I am loving it. Absolutely loving it. Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley has offered her sharpest criticism to date of her former boss, I make good to say, and former President Donald Trump. She said he is just toxic and lacks moral clarity. Now, let's just stop here. She explains why.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I just wanted. Okay. I mean, she was responding to questions around his impact in politics in America.
Okay.
And she said he has made it chaotic. He has made it self-absorbed. He has made people dislike and judge each other. He has left what a president should, he has left that a president should have moral clarity and know the difference between right or wrong, and he is just toxic. She says, I think a lot of the things he broke needed to be broken, but he doesn't know how to fix things again. And it's not okay to just break. You gotta fix it, make it better. And he hasn't done that. And she goes on to explain that moral clarity isn't about being a moral person, but instead, just know the difference between right and wrong. Knowing the difference between when you should call a group of people a name or not. And, then she goes on to praise him. That's the beautiful thing about the report. She goes on to talk about his time in the White House. And she...
What I think he did right was what
breaking the bureaucracy and getting things to move in a way that people started talking about them again. Yeah.
Donald Trump was good enough for Haley. That's what I want to understand. But at the point where the same Trump, I think becoming adults, becoming humans, becoming people that serve as example to younger persons, we need to be careful when we judge people.
Right.
We also need to be careful what we do ourselves. The reason is this, as far as me, because this sounds as incoherent as anything you can think about, and I'll tell you this. When you say Trump is self-absorbed, when you say he's toxic, when you say he broke things, ma'am, you were 100% part of 45. He's the 45th president of the United States. Donald Trump was the same man he was then. He hasn't changed. So what changed is that Nikki lost to Donald Trump again. Yes.
Yes, she did.
Okay. And she lost because she failed to step down when she was supposed to step down. When Ron DeSantis saw the handwriting on the wall. But Trump hasn't changed from the man he was 4 or 5 years ago.
But what do you think that made this woman to make this kind of statement?
If it's a bad loser, if you may.
She worked with Donald Trump. She was part of his cabinet. She worked with him. She worked for him.
That's the point. When did Trump become toxic, self-absorbed? Excuse me.
Within this period of time.
The campaign, yeah.
And they've worked for a long time.
Well, he broke
everything.
The key point is he broke everything that needed to be broken, but he doesn't know. It's like picking up your child's Lego piece and throwing it, and it's like, okay, how do I fix it? I don't know how to fix it.
He's saying he broke what needs to be broken. So he
did right.
So he agreed that there's something Trump did that needed to be done.
Yeah, exactly.
But putting it back together again.
How to put it back together? Putting back together is a process, which is where Nikki and all of that need to come on board and agree that, oh, he had the guts to break, let us help in fixing it. I think she's just being a sour loser, but again, they will all find themselves back to Republican and then back to Donald Trump, and don't be surprised, all of these things are politics. But I think we need to, in judging others,